I was walking through the hardware store recently, pricing out some supplies for a new project when I saw this. The electrical wire is locked up. That's just nuts. But the only thing that's crazier is the price. So what's going on here? Why is electrical wire so expensive, and when will we see those prices come down? The biggest component of electrical wire is copper. Copper is a soft metal that can be easily shaped and drawn into wire. It also has high thermal and electrical conductivity, which makes it perfect for use in everything from pots and pans to electronics. It's mined in a number of countries around the world, with the biggest mine being this one in Chile and the largest in the US being this one in Utah. Copper is the third most consumed industrial metal in the world after iron and aluminum. And like I say, copper is used in just about everything from small electronics to cars to power plants to homes, businesses, and everything in between. The cost of copper, like all commodities, is a function of supply and demand. If demand for copper goes up due to increased residential or commercial building or increased industrial production, then the cost will also go up. Basically, when the economy is good, demand for copper is high, and so the price is high. On the supply side, supply is dependent upon mining, refining, recycling, and transportation. If supply goes down, the price for copper will go up. Here is a graph of copper futures for the past 20 years, and it really tells a story. You can see that just before the financial crisis, prices shot up drastically. This was because of all of the building that was going on all over the world, but especially in China. Prices crashed down during the Great Recession, and if we zoom into the last 5 years, we can see that before the pandemic, copper prices hovered at an average of around $2.90 per ounce. When COVID hit, the price plummeted, and that was because businesses shut down. Factories stopped producing, people stopped driving, and even some mines stopped producing. And that impacted both supply and demand. No one was sure where the economy was headed, and that had a ripple effect throughout the world. Then there was huge demand for all sorts of manufactured goods, as well as housing and other construction, and you can see that the price of copper steadily climbed until around May of 2021. From then until just recently, the average price was around $4.40 per ounce. That is an increase in copper prices of over 50% from the average low to the average high, and over 95% from the lowest pre-pandemic price to the highest post-pandemic price. That increase in copper prices is the first reason why electrical wire is so expensive. There's more to it than just that, however. If you look at electrical wire, you can see that it's more than just copper. Each wire is also coated and insulated. This coating protects the wire from moisture and from tarnishing, which would cause it to lose conductivity. Electrical wire coatings are made from polyurethane, which is a resin that is derived from oil, and we all know how high oil prices have been up this past year. Polyurethane is also manufactured in factories, many of which were shut down during COVID and then struggled to keep up with demand once they were back up and running. Added to the cost of raw materials like copper and resins is the cost to transport the materials, which have gone up both due to increased shipping materials costs and increased fuel costs, as well as shortages of trucks and drivers. And then you have increased labor costs just across the board, from the factories to the mines and everywhere in between. So I think that gives us a good basis of understanding to really understand why prices for electrical wire have skyrocketed over the past few years. But the big question is, when and if ever are they going to come back down? Well, if we go back to the copper futures graph that I showed earlier, we can see that the price of copper has already started to fall, coming down around 30% from this year's highs. Crude oil has also fallen, reducing the cost of raw materials and transportation. Labor costs, however, remain higher, and that isn't likely to change. The biggest indicator, though, of when the cost of electrical wire will come down really depends upon where the economy's headed. If we fall into a recession, like a lot of people think we will, and building and manufacturing starts to slow down, then the demand for copper and electrical wire will drop, and that will lead to lower prices. If, however, building picks up and/or government spending on infrastructure and other things goes up, then we could see prices stay high for a while. Regardless of what happens in the long term, though, I think that in the short term, we will see prices drop from their highs. It will take a while for lower copper prices and lower oil prices and logistics being worked out to trickle down to electrical wire manufacturers, but in a few months, once the more expensive stock of wire is used up, we should see significant price decreases. And maybe at that point, we can stop holding our wire hostage. So what do you guys think? Is there a factor that I've missed? What are you seeing out there where you live or work? Have you had to sacrifice a child in order to wire that addition? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. And if you did, be sure to like the video, subscribe to my channel, check out one of these other great videos, and we'll see you in the next one.